Corona Soup, a modern retelling of Stone Soup, by Dr. Tamara Pizzoli, illustrated by Cynthia Barrera. Signora Constanza was the kindest little lady in all of Campo dei Fiori. She'd lived in the area since she was a young girl, so she knew everything there was to know about everyone in the quartiere. And though she'd reached her golden years in the same quaint neighborhood, Signora Constanza remained young at heart. After buying fresh fruits and veggies for the day at the market square, she could be found chatting up some friends down at the piazza corner. And if she was feeling particularly spry, she'd join in on a game of calcio with the neighborhood kids. Signora Constanza always had a kind word and a caramella to offer the children she'd run into daily. This included Gaia, who lived with her mother and father in the apartment below Signora Constanza's flat. In fact, Signora Constanza never complained about the rowdy kids who lived above and below her, and those who kept up a bunch of noise right under her window. Gaia and her family were quite fond of Signora Constanza, and because they knew she lived alone, they made sure to check in on her from time to time. "My mom made couscous for dinner. Here's some for you." "Grazie, cara." Signora Constanza first heard news of a great change no one was expecting while at the bar close to her home. As she was enjoying her usual cappuccino and cornetto, there was talk of a terrible flu of some sort going around in the north of Italy. Many people were becoming extremely ill. For some, the worst happened. Scientists and doctors were calling the new illness both the coronavirus and COVID-19. What's more, the virus seemed to be most dangerous for elders in Signora Constanza's age group. Over the next 2 weeks, Signora Constanza witnessed her Roman neighborhood transform into a place that was barely recognizable. There were talks of social distancing.
Scusi, ma che fa? You shouldn't be out, Signora Constanza. Let us bring your groceries to you.
Soon after, wearing facial masks became a requirement. "Niente baci, Costanza. Let's say hello from here." Mamma mia. Perhaps the most difficult new rule for her to follow was niente baci, no kisses. In her opinion, the Italian standard kiss on each cheek was the only appropriate way to say hello. On the 9th of March, the entire country of Italy received jarring news of a new decision made by the Italian government. There would be an official lockdown. No one would be permitted to leave home unless absolutely necessary. Overnight, restaurants, bookshops, stores, and even schools completely closed. Only grocery stores, pharmacies, and the post office stayed open for short hours. Even Signora Constanza's cousin Carlo's fruit and veggie stand was shuttered, and not a peep was heard from the children above or below her flat. A cloud of gloom and despair set in across the city of Rome. Gaia and her family thought to check on Signora Constanza many times, but as the coronavirus could be transmitted through close conversation, they decided it would be best for them to just stay home. Dawn always comes, even after the darkest night. It was unclear who had the brilliant idea to create moments of joy through music, but the neighbors in Signora Constanza's building began gathering at their windows each evening around 6 o'clock. They brought instruments and snacks, their best dance moves, and hope. Together they sang and laughed and cried and wished for better days. Gaia looked forward to the neighborhood's quarantine party each night, and she always glanced up to make sure Signora Constanza was tapping along in her window. She found her there each time. It wasn't until the 5th or 6th night of singing that Signora Constanza didn't show up to her window. She wasn't there the day after either. "I'm going up there to make sure she's okay," Gaia told her mom. But both her parents reminded her that doing so could be dangerous for Signora Constanza. Gaia thought and drew and read and thought some more about what she could do from a distance all day. Then, finally, a solution came to mind. That evening, while gathered at the windows with her neighbors, Gaia explained her plan. Their support was sent immediately with love and huge smiles. Eggplant, tomatoes, corn, zucchini, dandelion leaves, peas, and a package of pasta zipped right into Gaia's family's kitchen. Gaia's mother had already begun the broth. Silently, the pair worked side by side. First olive oil to cover the surface of the pot, then a bit of garlic simmering on low heat. They chopped and scooped and lifted and poured all of the love and sweet intentions they had in and around them inside the pot. The delicious aroma swirled around the kitchen and the courtyard, and when the soup was finally ready, Gaia's mother ladled it into a spill-proof container and sealed the lid. "But how do we get it to Signora Constanza?" Gaia asked her mother. Then, before she could answer, Gaia dashed to the balcony, grabbed a pail, and carefully placed the container that held the soup inside. Then she tied it to a nearby rope and hoisted it up with her family's help. And just as the soup arrived at Signora Constanza's window, a black bird with a bright orange beak landed on the sill as if someone had called for it to come. It tapped 3 times on the window pane, and seconds later, a frail hand emerged, clasped the pail's handle, and brought it safely inside. The next day, all of the neighbors were greeted by a warm and welcomed message. Copyright 2020 by Dr. Tamara Pizzoli.